What's going on, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of At Bat Recap. I'm your host, Corey. This is a show where we break down everything happening around Major League Baseball, from big offseason signings to team outlooks, player storylines, and what to expect when the season gets underway, all the way to the World Series. Whether you're a diehard fan or just someone who enjoys catching a game here and there, this podcast is all about keeping you informed and ready for the season ahead. With spring training starting right now, there's no better time to talk about what happened this offseason and how it's going to shape the 2026 season. Today, we are going to cover the biggest MLB offseason moves, how those players will affect their new teams, a recap of the Padres' 2025 season, and a full breakdown of the Padres' updated 2026 roster and expectations. So step into the batter's box. This is At Bat Recap. This offseason, we saw a few clear trends across the league. Teams investing heavily in starting pitching, big power bats changing teams, and front offices placing more value on versatility instead of just chasing the biggest names. Many teams focused on rotation depth, bullpen strength, and lineup balance. And those are the type of moves that usually pay off over a full 162-game season. This offseason featured several big names switching uniforms, and these moves could shape the playoff picture in a big way. Let's start with Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease signed with the Toronto Blue Jays. In 2025 with the Padres, he had 32 starts, 168 innings pitched, 215 strikeouts. That gives him 5 straight seasons with 200 or more strikeouts. For Toronto, this is huge, and I like this move for them. You're talking about a World Series caliber team that is getting better. They now have a swing and miss ace. With his nasty curveball, the rotation becomes one of the most dangerous in the American League, and Cease gives them a pitcher built for October. If he cuts down on walks, he could easily be a Cy Young contender for the 2026 season. Next, we got Bo Bichette. Bo Bichette signed with the New York Mets. In 2025 with the Blue Jays, he had a .311 batting average, 18 home runs, 94 RBIs, 181 hits. He's one of the best contact hitters in baseball, right there with Luis Ariz. And if he can continue to decline his K percentage like he did in 2025, and the Mets place good hitters behind him, we could be talking about pumping those numbers into the triple digits. For the Mets, he becomes a centerpiece of the lineup. He adds stability to the infield, and he gives them a high average run-producing bat. Next, we got Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso signed with the Baltimore Orioles. In 2025 with the Mets, he had 126 RBIs, one of the top run producers in the league. He's a consistent 35 to 45 home run threat. With this young team, he will be an immediate impact. For Baltimore, he gives them a true cleanup hitter, adds veteran power to a young lineup, and makes their offense significantly more dangerous. Next, we got Framber Valdez. He signed with the Detroit Tigers. He has been one of the more dominant pitchers since his breakout All-Star season in 2022. He has a chance to really elevate an already strong Tigers rotation. In 2025 with the Astros, 3.66 ERA, 192 innings, and 187 strikeouts. He's known for elite ground ball rates, durability, and consistent quality starts. For Detroit, he becomes their second in rotation starter behind Skubal, stabilizes the rotation, and gives them a reliable innings eater. Next, I like this right here. We're going to talk about Mackenzie Gore. Mackenzie Gore is one of the young pitchers to watch this season, and now he'll be doing it in a new uniform with the Texas Rangers. Texas made a big move this offseason trading for Gore from the Washington Nationals. Gore is still in his mid-20s, left-handed, and has the kind of arsenal teams dream about. He features a lively mid to upper 90s fastball, a sharp breaking ball, and a swing and miss stuff that generates a lot of strikeouts. In 2025, he showed exactly why he's viewed as a potential breakout arm. He posted a 3.52 ERA, 144 strikeouts, and 117.2 innings. Those numbers point to a pitcher who's missing bats consistently and improving his command. Two keen signs of a starter ready to take the next step. Now he lands in Texas, where the Rangers are building a young, high-upside rotation. Gore gives them a controllable left-handed starter, strikeout potential at the top of the rotation, and someone who could develop into an all-star level arm. If he continues trending the way he did in 2025, Gore could quickly become one of the cornerstones of that Rangers pitching staff. I like this move for the Rangers. Now let's talk about one of the bigger moves this offseason. Kyle Tucker signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He is one of the most complete players in baseball. He can hit 30 home runs, steal 20 bases, and play Gold Glove level defense. For the Dodgers, their lineup becomes even deeper. He adds another star bat and gives them another postseason weapon. The Dodgers were already dangerous. This just makes them even tougher to beat. I am not the biggest fan of this move because I thought he really fit in well with that Cubs lineup and outfield, and I really thought the Cubs were one or two players away from being a World Series contender. Across the league, there's a clear trend. Teams are paying for frontline pitching, middle of the order power is still king, and complete all-around players are the most valuable assets. Now, let's shift the focus to San Diego and how they looked in 2025. The Padres had a strong 2025 season, finishing with a 90-72 record and staying competitive in a tough West. Batting average, 252, 7th in the MLB. OBP, 321, 9th in the MLB. Slugging, 390, 22nd in the MLB. Home runs, 152, 28th in the MLB. Runs scored, 702, 18th in the MLB. This wasn't the most explosive offense in baseball in 2025, but it was a balanced and productive group that relied on steady contributions from its core hitters rather than one single dominant force. The heart of the lineup was built around Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, and Gavin Sheets. Those three carried a large portion of the offense. Tatis led the team with an .814 OPS, showing once again that he's the most dynamic player on the roster. He provided power, speed, and the ability to change the game in a single at-bat. He was a consistent threat to drive the ball out of the park or create runs on the bases. Machado followed with a .785 OPS, continued to be the steady veteran presence in the lineup. He didn't necessarily have the flashiest numbers in the league, but he remained one of the most reliable run producers on the team and a key piece in the middle of the order. Gavin Sheets finished with a .746 OPS and proved to be a very important addition to the offense. He supplied left-handed power and consistent run production, giving the Padres another bat that pitchers had to respect. What really stands out is that these three players were the top three in the team in RBIs, slugging percentage, home runs, and OPS. That shows just how much of the offensive production flowed through that core. Beyond those three, the Padres didn't have a lineup full of elite OPS numbers, but they were able to stay competitive because of the good situational hitting, depth production, and timely home runs throughout the season. They weren't a team that consistently blew opponents out with huge run totals. Instead, they often scratched across runs, put pressure on defenses, and relied on key hits in big moments. This type of offense tends to win games in a different way. It's less about overwhelming opponents and more about consistency, run creation, and taking advantage of scoring opportunities. So while the Padres didn't finish as one of the top power offenses in baseball, they were still effective because their core players delivered and the lineup found ways to produce enough runs to stay competitive. Heading into 2026, the big question is whether that core can maintain or improve those numbers and whether the supporting cast can provide more production to take some of the pressure off Tatis, Machado, and Sheets. Let's talk about Tatis Jr. for a second. Tatis put together another all-star caliber season and once again proved he is the most dynamic player on the roster, impacting the game in every phase. Power, speed, defense, and run production. On many nights, he was the engine that made the offense go. Next, we got Machado. Machado continued to be the steady veteran presence in the lineup and clubhouse. In 2025, he had more than 25 home runs, drove in more than 90 RBIs, and appeared in nearly every game. He remained one of the most reliable hitters on the team and continued to be the anchor in the middle of the order. While he may not have led the league in flashy stats, he was consistent and productive all season long. Let's take a closer look at the Padres rotation and how these 5 pitchers actually performed in 2025. Because on paper, this group had a ton of upside, power arms, strikeout guys, and a veteran anchor. But the season didn't go exactly the way you would draw it up. Let's go one by one. Nick Pivetta, the unexpected ace. Let's start with the biggest surprise of the group. Nick Pivetta. In 2025, Pivetta had what you could easily call a career year. He finished the season 13-5 with a 2.87 ERA, throwing 181 and 2/3 innings, 190 strikeouts over 31 starts. And here's the big picture. He wasn't just good. He was the most consistent starter on the staff. While other arms dealt with injuries or inconsistency, Pivetta was the guy taking the ball every 5th day and giving the Padres quality innings. He attacked the zone, limited walks, and kept hitters off balance with a deep pitch mix. For a pitcher who had always shown flashes but struggled with consistency early in his career, this was a true breakout. He pitched like the top of the rotation arm, and in many ways, he became the ace of this staff in 2025. Next, we have Dylan Cease. Strikeouts were still there, but the results weren't. If you look at the raw strikeout numbers, they still jump off the page. In 2025, Cease struck out 215 hitters in 168 innings. That's elite swing and miss stuff, no question about it. But the results overall weren't what you'd expect from a pitcher with that kind of strikeout ability. He finished the season 8-12 with a 4.55 ERA. What happened? Well, it really came down to command and consistency. Cease would look dominant one outing and then struggle to find the zone the next. When he fell behind in counts, hitters were able to sit on his fastball, and that led to more hard contact and bigger innings. The strikeout stuff is still there. The slider is still nasty, but until he tightens up the command and limits those free passes, the results are going to stay uneven. He's still got ace-level potential, but 2025 was more of a roller coaster season. Michael King, quality stuff, limited by injuries. Right now, Michael King in this season, it felt like never really got a chance to fully take off. When King was on the mound, he was effective. He finished 2025 with a 3.44 ERA, 76 strikeouts, 5-3 record over 73 1/3 innings. Those are strong numbers, but the problem was availability. King dealt with multiple injury issues throughout the season, including shoulder and knee problems, which limited him to just 15 starts. So while the performance was solid and the workload just wasn't there. And that's really the big question. With King moving forward, the stuff is good, the pitch mix works, he gets swings and misses, but can he stay healthy and handle a full starter's workload over 160 or 170 innings? If he can, he's a legit top of the rotation type arm, but in 2025, injuries kept that from happening. Now let's talk about the veteran presence in this rotation, Yu Darvish. Darvish's 2025 season was defined by more injuries than performance. He didn't even make his season debut until July because of elbow inflammation. He finished the season 5-5 with a 5.38 ERA, striking out 68 in 72 innings in 15 starts. That's not the typical Yu Darvish line, but again, context matters. He was coming back mid-season, working his way into form, and the team was clearly managing his innings carefully. And the bigger storyline came after the season. Darvish underwent elbow surgery and is expected to miss the entire 2026 season. So now the question becomes, how much does he have left in the tank when he returns? When he's healthy, he's still one of the smartest, most versatile pitchers in the game. but durability is becoming the biggest concern at this stage in his career. Randy Vasquez, quietly solid in a bigger role. Let's talk about the young arm in the group, Randy Vasquez. Vasquez took on a much larger role in 2025, making 28 appearances with 26 starts and throwing 133 and two-thirds innings. He finished the year 6-7 with a 3.84 ERA and 78 strikeouts. Now, those strikeout numbers aren't eye-popping, but the ERA and innings total are solid for a young pitcher stepping into a regular role. He showed flashes of really good stuff, but like most young starters, consistency is still the next step. There were outings where he looked sharp and efficient, and others where command issues led to trouble. But overall, there was a positive step. He showed he can handle a starter's workload and give the team competitive innings. He is not the finished product yet, but the foundation is there for him to grow into a reliable middle-of-the-rotation arm. So when you step back and look at this rotation in 2025, there's a clear story. Nick Pivetta emerged as a surprise ace. Dylan Cease still missed bats, but struggled with consistency. Michael King showed quality stuff, but injuries limited his impact. Yu Darvish's season was cut short, and now he's facing a long recovery. And Randy Vasquez quietly gave them solid innings as a developing young arm. On paper, this group had serious upside, but between injuries and inconsistency, it never fully clicked the way it could have. And that's the reality of pitching in today's game. You can have all the talent in the world, but health, command, and consistency are what really define a season. Now let's talk about the real dominance of this Padres defense. The bullpen was the real strength of the team. Padres relievers led the MLB with a 3.06 ERA, held opponents to a 206 batting average. Robert Suarez as the closer, Suarez provided stability in the ninth inning. In 2025, he recorded 40 saves, posted a 2.97 ERA, and struck out 75 over 69 and two-thirds innings. He was one of the more reliable closers in the league and converted a high percentage of his save opportunities. Next, we got Jason Adam. Adam was one of the key setup men and high leverage arms. He had a 1.93 ERA, struck out 70 over 65 and a third innings, and was frequently used in the seventh and eighth innings against the heart of opposing lineups. He was critical bridge to the closer and often handled the toughest matchups. Next, we got one of my favorite relievers, Adrian Morejon. He gave the Padres a valuable left-handed option out of the bullpen. He posted a 2.08 ERA, showed improved command, and became a reliable arm in the middle to late innings. His ability to get left-handed hitters out added balance to the bullpen. Next, we're going to talk about somebody who came in and just showed how dominant they truly are. Mason Miller. At the trade deadline, the Padres added Mason Miller, who finished with a 2.63 ERA, 104 strikeouts, and just 60 appearances. That move gave them one of the most dangerous bullpens in baseball, and it showed up in a big way over the course of the season. Even before being projected as the 2026 closer, he was already one of the most electric arms in the bullpen. The Padres bullpen in 2025 wasn't just good. It was one of the key reasons the team was able to reach the 90-win mark. They consistently shut the door late in games and protected leads. When the Padres were ahead after 6 or 7 innings, it often felt like the game was already over. That kind of reliability out of the bullpen takes a lot of pressure off both the starting rotation and the offense. Instead of needing big comebacks or high-scoring games, the Padres were able to win a lot of tight, low-scoring contests because of their relievers. The bullpen excelled in several key areas: limiting runs in late innings, stranding inherited runners, and keeping the ball in the yard, and consistently throwing strikes in high-leverage situations. Robert Suarez played a major role at the back end of that bullpen as the closer. He provided stability in the ninth inning and converted opportunities at a high rate. Knowing you have a reliable closer allows the rest of the bullpen to settle into defined roles, and that structure often leads to better overall performance. The middle relievers were just as important. They bridged the gap from the starters to the closer. often pitching in the 7th and 8th innings in high-pressure situations. Those innings can be the difference between winning and losing, and the Padres' bullpen handled them extremely well. Over a long season, that kind of bullpen performance adds up. Instead of losing close games, the Padres were able to flip many of them into wins. A few extra victories each month in a tight games can easily be the difference between a sub 500 team and a 90-win team. So while the offense was balanced and the rotation had its moments, the bullpen was really the backbone of the team's success in 2025. It allowed the Padres to control games late and turn close contests into victories, which played a huge role in their strong season. Together, Suarez, Adam, Morihone, and Miller formed a bullpen that could lock down games from the 6th inning on, and that late inning dominance was a huge reason the Padres were able to turn close games into wins and reach the 90-win mark. Now, let's talk about the 2026 Padres, because this team looks very different. Major changes: Dylan Cease is gone, Yu Darvish is out for the season with an injury, and Robert Suarez is no longer on the roster. That's a big shift from last year's team. Right now, the projected lineup, we got Tatis Jr. in right field, Jackson Merrill at center, Ramon Laureano in left field. We got Manny at third base, Xander at shortstop. Right now, I don't know if we're going to have Cronenworth at first base or second base, but we also signed Sung-Mun Song, and he could easily slide into second or first base. They also signed Nick Castellanos. He's going to be playing a huge part off the bench and utility role. Freddie Fermin at catcher and Gavin Sheets at DH. When you look at this projected 2026 lineup, it may not jump off the page as the most powerful group in baseball, but there is still a lot of untapped power potential throughout the roster. At the top, Tatis Jr. is still one of the biggest game changers. Even in a season where his OPS was around 814, he remained one of the most dangerous hitters on the team. If he has a fully healthy season and gets back closer to his peak production, he's the type of player who can push towards 30 to 40 home runs and carry the offense for stretches. Manny Machado remains steady, middle-of-the-order presence. Even when he isn't at his absolute peak, he's still capable of putting up 25 to 30 home runs and around 90 to 100 RBIs. He's the kind of hitter who doesn't always have huge hot streaks, but he produces consistently over the course of a full season. Gavin Sheets is another key piece. When it comes to unlocking more power, he showed in 2025 that he can be a legitimate run producer, finishing as one of the team leaders in RBIs, slugging, home runs, and OPS. If he takes another step forward, he could become a 25-plus home run bat and give the Padres a reliable power presence from the left side. There is also some sneaky power potential elsewhere in the lineup. Jackson Merrill is still young and developing, and there's hope he can grow into more power as he gains experience. Xander has a history of 15 to 20 home run seasons, and he could rebound offensively. Jake Cronenworth has shown pop in the past, and he could return to that form. Ramon Laureano has had seasons with 20-plus home runs and could provide some extra punch in the outfield. So while the Padres may not have a lineup full of 40 home run hitters, they do have a group where 5 or 6 players could realistically hit 15 to 25 home runs if things break right. The key for this 2026 lineup will be getting bounce-back seasons from veterans, continued development from younger players, and staying healthy. If that happens, this offense could be more dangerous than it looks on paper. With signed Castellanos, the Padres do gain more power with him coming in and providing bench depth in a more utility role. I like this move for the Padres, especially considered they're only paying the league minimum for him. Once again, Preller has possibly found another needle in the haystack, and this could be a bounce-back year for Castellanos. Now, it may not be the most powerful lineup in baseball, but it does have athleticism, defensive strength, and enough offensive potential to compete. On the pitching side, one of the biggest goals for the Padres in 2026 will simply be getting consistent innings out of the starting rotation. Last season, the bullpen was one of the biggest strengths of the team, but relying too heavily on the bullpen early in the year can wear down relievers, lead to fatigue, and create problems later on in the season. With Cease gone and Darvish out for the season, the Padres don't just need quality starts, they need durable starts. The hope is that the rotation can pitch. The hope is that the rotation can pitch deeper into games, reduce the number of bullpen innings, and keep the relievers fresh for the second half of the season. Joe Musgrove's return is a big part of that plan. Before his injury, he was known for going 7 innings regularly, limiting damage and giving the bullpen a lighter workload. If he can return to that form, even at a slightly reduced level, he could become the stabilizing force this rotation needs. Michael King and Nick Pivetta will also be key in this area. Both have experience as full season starters, and the Padres will be counting on them to take the ball every 5th day, eat innings, and avoid short outings that put pressure on the bullpen. Randy Vasquez and whoever wins the 5th starter spot will also play an important role. Even if they're not dominant, simply providing 5 or 6 solid innings can make a huge difference over the course of a long season. The goal for this rotation in 2026 isn't necessarily to be the most dominant staff in baseball. It has to be reliable, durable, and capable of keeping the team in games. If they can consistently go deeper into starts, it will protect the bullpen, help maintain late inning effectiveness, and give the Padres a better chance to stay competitive throughout the year. Now let's talk about Joe Musgrove returning from Tommy John surgery. Before the injury, he was a reliable top-of-the-rotation arm, a clubhouse leader, one of the most consistent starters on the team. If he returns close to his old form, he could stabilize the rotation, take pressure off younger arms, and give the Padres a veteran presence. The big questions: how quickly will his command return? How many innings can he handle? And can he stay healthy all season? He was ready to go in the playoffs, but I think this offseason gave him an opportunity to build more strength in his arm and be ready to go to start the season. The rotation is expected to include Joe Musgrove, Michael King, Nick Pivetta, Randy Vasquez, German Marquez, and Griffin Canning. Vasquez is expected to return and compete for a back-end rotation spot. And right now, the 5th starter spot is completely open. The job will likely be decided during spring training, with multiple pitchers competing for it, and with signing Marquez and Canning in the offseason, I see no room for JP Sears in this rotation. If these 3 back-end starters stay consistent and healthy, I could easily see the Padres deploying a 6-man rotation to start the season. So right now, this rotation, with some veteran leadership, some uncertainty, and a lot of depending on performance and health. Next, let's talk about the bullpen. Another major change we talked about: Suarez is gone. He was the closer and one of the most reliable relievers on the team. Now, the projected closer, which I believe the coach already announced, is going to be Mason Miller. Mason Miller, he's going to have triple-digit velocity, elite strikeout ability, and stuff to dominate. But now he'll be asked to take over the 9th inning and handle the pressure of closing the games, just like he did when he was with the A's. If he's successful, the bullpen can be a strength. Right now, the Padres look like a playoff contender or a team capable of 90 wins again. That's going to require this team to stay healthy early in the season, manage the workload, and simply play competitive baseball in one of the toughest divisions in the sport. Because when you look at the NL West, there are no easy stretches. You're going to face the Los Angeles Dodgers 13 times, and that's a roster loaded with stars and postseason expectations every single year. Then you got the San Francisco Giants, who continue to build a strong, disciplined offense that can grind out runs and keep games close. You also have to deal with the Colorado Rockies, and even though they're often seen as a sub-500 team, the Padres have historically struggled against them both at Coors Field and at Petco Park. Those are the games you can't afford to drop if you're serious about winning the division. And then there's the Arizona Diamondbacks, a young, athletic club that plays hard every night and always seems to stay competitive deep into the season. That's 52 division games right there. 52 chances where the standings can swing and where every series matters. If the Padres want to take control of the division, they have to win those matchups. And that's been the story the last couple of seasons. It's felt like they've been right on the cusp, right in the mix, only to let it slip away in the final couple of weeks. So in 2026, the goal is simple. Stay healthy, win your division games, and finish the job this time. It's a realistic expectation, 84 to 90 wins, fighting for a wild card spot late in the season. But if Musgrove returns strong and the rotation holds up and stays healthy and the offense clicks, they could exceed expectation. And that's going to wrap up the very first episode of At Bat Recap. If you made it all the way through this first show, I just want to say thank you. Starting this podcast has been something I've been excited about, and the support so far has meant a lot. This is just the beginning, and there's a lot more baseball talk coming your way. Today, we covered some of the biggest moves of the MLB offseason, how those star players could impact their new teams, a full look back at the Padres 2025 season, and a breakdown of what to expect from San Diego in 2026. As the season gets closer, we'll be talking division races, breakout players, trade rumors, and everything happening around the league. So if you love baseball, this is the place to be. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to follow the podcast, share it with a friend or another baseball fan, and keep an eye out for the next episode dropping soon. Next time, we'll break down another team and start getting into early season predictions across Major League Baseball. Until next time, keep your eye on the ball, and I'll see you on the next At Bat Recap.